corner room, and it was unbelievable.
We got lucky one year at Animal Kingdom. I didn't book a Savannah View room, and we checked in, and she's like, "Here's your room." It was a corner Savannah View room that I don't know. You had a view of the building, but you had a clear shot of the Savannah, and it was supposed to be a standard view, like I guess the parking lot, unless they pixie dusted us, and I didn't know that. And that's just an upgraded room to give people.
Yeah, I didn't ask for that room we got. I didn't really advertise this week either. It's been a busy day. I drove to Richmond and back. My daughter had her senior speech, so
Nice.
so we'll just see how this goes. Hopefully, our expert Caleb will join us, and if not, he's got more topics. So, all right, hey guys, welcome to the But Mostly Disney podcast. It is it's a cold Tuesday here in Virginia. We are expecting some snow. Andrew, what's it like in South Carolina?
Well, coming from Florida where it was 88 degrees the other day, it's been 30s at night and 60s during the day, but it's supposed to drop tonight and rain all day tomorrow. So I wish I was back in Florida where it was shorts and t-shirts.
Oh, I feel like that every day. Even if it's nice here, I feel like all I want to do is go back there.
Yes, sir.
We were just talking about how busy everything is, and didn't have time to really do a ton of research for tonight, so we're going to wing it, and you'll get to enjoy and see what it's like when I really don't know what I'm talking about, and see how much I can make up along the way to look like it. Just one of those days, but at least we're still hitting Tuesdays, right? So I'm excited about that. Our buddy Caleb Joshua Hill was supposed to join us, and he may. Technology could be holding him up. Life gets busy. Who knows? But he had picked a topic for tonight, and tonight we're talking about the Disney Store.
Oh, yes.
Which has an interesting and complicated history. Do you know much about it, Andrew, or is this going to be a shock for you?
We had one here in Charleston, and it was here it was one of the last ones to exist. And of course, I'm a 90s, 80s, 90s kid, so that was one of the big deals. We'd go to the mall, we'd go to the Disney Store to look at what little small animatronics they had that worked, and the giant mountain of plushes. And it was always, we went when the movies were coming out and they gave out lithographs and the pins that went with it. And it was always a little bit of Disney when you got to go to the Disney Store.
Hey, look who I found. Thank goodness our buddy
Stacy
Caleb is here. How you doing, my man?
Good.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna.
It says Stacy for some reason. I'm like, our good pal Stacy.
Oh, it's old Stacy. We'll get rid of that.
It's all right. Yeah, it's just new.
I didn't have a. It is. It's new. It's new technology for me, and I. Not quite.
Okay. Whoop.
Hello.
That's big.
There you go.
There we go.
All this moves pretty quickly in the background. So we just started, which is perfect. We had a few minutes, and sorry, I was telling Andrew I really I didn't have time to prepare much for tonight, so I'm so glad you're here because
I know I saw the YouTube setup link, so I was like, okay, I gotta do this.
Yeah, until I can make it a full-time job, some of this is going to be it's going to be interesting to try to make work. But Andrew was just talking about they had a Disney store in Charleston. We had one here in Virginia Beach at the mall, and it was a big deal. I mean, we when the kids were little, we would go there on Saturdays and just wander through, maybe buy something, maybe not. We got a lot of Halloween costumes there while it was running. I mean, it was awesome. We loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
But I had
go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. I was just say I had two in well, one I used to grow up with, in it's Montgomeryville Mall. It was called near me, and that was the one that was like the '80s pink turquoise colored.
Yep,
Um,
that's it.
yep, that was it with the figures hanging and my favorite mountain, plush mountain, of course, and the TV loops, which I actually I shared to you in the chat. So those are those are things I remember.
Yeah, I haven't quite figured out slides yet. So if you're listening
Yeah.
to the audio, you're in luck. You're not missing anything at all.
So one thing that we we have a Tanger in Myrtle Beach that has one of the outlet stores now, and we happened to get there early. We went Christmas shopping one year up there. We got there early, and they do a whole deal with like opening the store and spreading pixie dust in the store. I was like, well, it's kind of a little park, ad they do to it every. I don't remember the Disney stores doing that, but I do know the outlet stores. I'm guessing they all must do it, but
Well, they
go
also
there.
do that. Well, they
Go
also
ahead.
do. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Caleb.
Oh, they would used to. I don't think I've ever done this, but they used to do the openings with the key, and you're like, here's the key. You would open the Disney store up, um, and that was a cool magical moment to see people open the Disney store every morning.
And so it started with oh, now I've lost his name. I just watched a video on him. I did do that. But the first one was in Glendale, right, as a test market for doing it.
Yes.
And they had one executive whose name I've lost now. This is good quality content. And they put him in charge. They had one there, and then I think they opened another test version in San Francisco, maybe, and then somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's what. Because the first one was in Montclair. It was Montclair,
New York,
California.
Okay. And they did well,
yeah.
obviously, right? Like first year, like $2.5 million, something like that in sales. So obviously, I mean, the idea was to see if people wanted a retail version of the Disney store, and the first one was really close to Disneyland. I think it wasn't far away, right around the corner, a couple miles. And the resounding answer was absolutely right. Then, so then they I think what I and this is off the top of my head, that they looked for an executive. They tried to find someone from the outside who would come in, show them how to do retail, run the retail stores, and really didn't like anybody, and ended up keeping the same guy who opened it. And that executive ended up starting what became all of our amazing Disney stores.
Yep.
Which, I mean, again, if it wasn't part of my childhood, but it was definitely part of my children's childhood, right?
Yeah, yeah. And my childhood.
And they, I mean, look, we go once a year, but it's never enough for us Disney folks, right? We always want more. And this was a way to bring a little bit of the parks to the outside world on a regular basis. Sorry.
No, sorry.
I just want to find this guy's name. He's driving me crazy.
I know. I saw his name in the video because he was like, yeah, he was talking about, and that was also during the time when they were doing also, they were testing this thing called Mickey's Kitchen.
So yeah, and that was like in like 1990. So that was a little bit later, right? Like they did that, and I thought it was funny they had a veggie burger, which for the 90s was pretty progressive, kind of a healthy food joint, right? First one was open in '87, right? And then by '90 they actually thought about doing a fast food restaurant, which is insane.
Yep, it was. They had. It's so funny the food items, like it was a Pluto hot dog and I think a Huey, Louie, and Dewey peanut butter jelly sandwich or something like that. But that was their, like, generic food items, but it was still cool.
Doug
and
Murphy.
Of course we have Chef Mickey's, so
right.
Kind of like.
What year did Chef Mickey's open? Are the two related? I didn't even think about that.
I think I just looked it up recently.
Doug Murphy was his name. That would
Yes,
Yes.
that's
Yep.
that's his name.
that would have driven me insane the rest of the show. I couldn't have gone on. 95. So
Okay.
absolutely.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
30 years.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
It's nuts.
I know it is a little unbelievable. And then 1990 was the first year the first overseas Disney store opened. But this guy ran it, and it did really well. I mean, it obviously expanded like crazy, right? The numbers here by 1990 there were 78 stores, 92, 126, 93, 215, 94, 310, and I think the 97 was the absolute pinnacle at 750 stores, 749 worldwide. And they had events, right?
Yeah.
Because we would go. I know they would have movie events. They sold park tickets there. You know,
Yeah,
they had a little
That's where I
kiosk.
got.
Yep.
Yep, that's where me and my mom would go and get the tickets for when we would go to Disney. So, yeah, it was.
I mean,
good times.
it's almost, and I, not to go out of order, but it's almost amazing that it's not still open. Like it really seems kind of crazy.
It's
They have
really
them in
creepy.
Japan. Japan and London have a ton of them, from what I understand. But they're owned by
yeah,
different
they're-
companies using Disney branding,
Right.
which I don't understand why they haven't, take a company like Target, which they've done some stuff with already, and have them open up a Disney boutique or something.
Well, and it's
How
interesting.
do so? Sorry, just
Go ahead.
you just
Nope.
brought up Target. You brought up Target. I experienced going to one of those Targets, the Target Disney stores, and let me tell you, this was the worst thing they've ever done. I don't know how this is a thing. It's a mess. It really is. I spoke to Kevin Lively, who Lou Angelo. He actually worked a little bit on that, but he's like, "Oh yeah, I worked on that." And I'm like, "Oh, I felt like I'm so sorry you had to work on this thing because it's just like I don't know. It's just I don't know what to think about this. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I thought it was a cheap run, like here's a corner of the store, we're going to throw some stuff up on the shelves and see if anybody buys it. That's what it felt like.
And it's the same thing with Macy's doing the Toys R Us things. Like,
Except
yeah,
they have
this is the
churros.
cheap way out.
I'm sure.
They have churros at the Macy's Disney section in New York City because I was just up there. So I'm walking along.
Cool.
And I'm literally holding my phone up to do like a little, some kind of reel or something. And as I'm going by, I just stop because they sell Mickey pretzels and churros right in Manhattan. It's pretty cool. I didn't love any of the merchandise, but I'm kind of particular about what I wear Disney wise. So
They had some Roosevelt shirts I saw. They're starting to sell those, I think, in that Disney store. That's like the second version.
at
The
Macy's,
first version. No, the second version of the Disney store. There was one in it was not Manhattan. It was
there's one in Times Square.
Yeah, Times Square, and there was another one that was like the World of Disney kind of. That ended in like 2011, I believe. Fifth Avenue.
Okay.
That's where it used to be. It was a beautiful store. Like I said, I sent all those videos recently. I'll definitely send the video of that as well, of the Fifth Avenue from like 2006. That's the only video I could find of it.
So technically, the Disney stores kicked off the Disney decade.
Right.
Oh yeah, 87.
Yeah, because Eisner came in then, and then that was.
And you know, if you think about it, look, Walt started licensing products in the 30s, right? Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Is that,
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
and he was just getting a small percentage of whatever they were doing, watches, stuffed animals, scary stuffed animals.
Scary masks.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, those horrible masks. So, in 1930, 1929, pocket watches, which are worth a fortune if you still have them today. And so he found a way to start doing that. And then at some point in time, why wouldn't Disney try to figure out a way to do it for themselves, right? Which, looking at the Disney store, in '86 brought in $72 million, all because of that plush mountain in the middle. That was the key to their success.
So many memories of that. Getting in trouble from the cast members, being like, "Oh, you can't jump in there." It was so fun. Such a great childhood memory. Just doing
So
that
it looks
stuff.
like at one point, Disney and Children's Palace got together, or Children's Place.
That was like Children's Place, yeah.
Yeah, and they took over, and then they sold them back to Disney in 2008 because they couldn't. I guess what I'm reading here, the licenses were too expensive
I think it was
for them.
licensed by Brick and Mortar, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brick and Mortar beforehand, so. But yeah,
Steve
Children's
Jobs
Place.
had his hand in it too.
Who was it?
Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
He had the stores reimagined like an Apple store where it was all hands-on technology.
Yeah.
And that worked, and then that's when they got Children's Place involved, and then it went downhill after that.
Now, do you think, look, was that part of it? Was that important? Did it just become dated? I mean, so much retail's gone, right? We have a mall here. It's one of the best malls I've ever been into. There's nothing left. There's like a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gone,
Yeah.
right?
We have two malls,
like
and
the one
one
that-
is pretty much
keeping up with-
nothing there.
Yeah, the one I said I grew up with, the one that was from the 80s. I heard a story when I was like still in school, but I was just like volunteering and stuff. But I heard a story. It was like, yeah, did you hear? The Disney store in Montgomeryville Mall is gone. And I'm like, no, you're joking, no. And then so years later, I went in 2020, and I look at it, and I'm just like about to cry because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the place I used to go to all the time, and now it's gone. And
and it's interesting. So we go to Key West every year, and when I lived there, there was a place called Fast Buck Freddy's, coolest store in the world, sold all this really interesting, amazing stuff. And we would go in there every time and, spend an hour wandering the show. I mean, just checking everything out. And when they closed, I was like I was shocked. I'm like, how in the world can it shut down? And then my friend who lives there, and I talked to her about it, and she's like, yeah, did you ever buy anything? I was like, well, oh, I guess I didn't. We did go in there all the time, window shop, but you're right. I really didn't buy much there.
Well, not to get off topic, but that kind of goes to something I said to my wife this weekend as we're sitting in a Muppet Vision and it's packed. And I'm like, where were these people at last year?
Exactly. They're not.
Because I've been on that ride before when it was packed and it was popular. And then as it dwindled down to nothing, now it's going away. They filled every showing, and it's like, if y'all would have came to this before, it wouldn't be closing now.
Well,
it's this thing where people are like, oh my gosh, it's closing, we have to go. But if it's not important, oh no, we don't really care. We really don't care any.
Well, then we just said we make everything either brand new or going away. One of the two.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened at Disney stores. A lot of people just took for granted they were going to be there, and they're gone. Like the one that here in town, it's been the store's been renovated, but for the longest time, these little mom and pop shops would open up inside there that still had all the Disney decor inside of it. Of course, all the animatronics and stuff were gone, but the wallpaper was the same, and the big screen TV was still there, and
yeah, those. Well, they were like static audio-animatronics, but still, they were awesome. During their time, they were more active. But
I still love them. And Riverside has them, right? Riverside, if you go,
Dewey and Louie.
Yep.
Yeah, those I remember.
And they have. Here's a little trivia for you because I don't actually know the answer. What are Mickey's nephews' names?
Morty and Ferdy.
Are there just two?
Yeah, there's just two.
Okay. because they have a Morty and Ferdy. I'm not sure I ever knew that.
God.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day. But they have just a rope pull kind of animatronic of them in there too. So there's
Yeah,
two.
those figures are still, those are from like I think the 80s, and they still like they freshen them up, they put them in Windows displays. It's just
I think it'd be
amazing.
cool if the Minnie in the Polynesian window, if they'd fix her and make
Fix
her
her.
dance again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's like yeah.
Those stores, the first store, just kind of all over the place here a little bit, was doing $1,200 a square foot, which is that's 3 times more than the national average. So that's when they started expanding. They had those 3 stores, and like we said, they kept it within house. A guy named Steve Burke. So these spread like wildfire, and we talked about exponentially how fast they moved. $893 million in income. So
Wow.
doing a little better than that first 72 million. And that's about the
Now-
time where, so what year was that? Let's say that they were at their peak, which was
97.
97. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. They tried that fast food restaurant a little bit sooner than I would have been surprised.
It'd been cool if it was still around, but I think it was just so generic. I think they just were like,
They opened one other location and it just struggled to break even. So in 92, they closed those down.
I think that was in Chicago. I forget. It was somewhere there.
But you'd walk in, there'd be screens up front playing cartoons and ads, and then you'd walk through
it was a projector with the plush mountain
in
below.
the back, right?
And then for me, when I grew up, there was 2. So there was that, and then there was this little tiny screen on the right side of before you walk in, and there was just like a tiny screen, so they would distract you with, whatever they were promoting.
And then along the tops, they had all those
Yep.
scenes. I don't know if they were all the same or not. Ours, I remember, had a mummy. I mean, this is how big this was. That as an adult and as I'm beginning my climb into becoming a Disney person, I mean, I remember I liked going there. I mean, it really was kind of synergy with the parks, right? It was
Right.
something to get a little fix on a rainy day. Maybe in trouble.
I mean, there was that version, and then there was the '90s version, which was like they were like the ones at World of Disney.
Right.
They were huge, like steampunk kind of designed. I remember that was one in King of Prussia Mall, which I also sort of grew up with. It was like when I was in middle school, but it was so big. Like these characters were huge, and I mean, it wasn't like Plush Mountain, which was weird. They had like this roundabout, kind of like they do with the outlets now, so where they just have like a roundabout plush thing. But that was the one, like the one in South Carolina that I used to go to near North Myrtle. So
It's still there.
Yeah.
It's now an outlet. Yeah.
yeah, it's an outlet. So
This is
No-
crazy
no
because they get a
Disney.
lot of Disneyland stuff in that store. It's weird.
they do, yeah. I was surprised when I would go to like the one near which is gone now, the Philadelphia Premium Outlets. They used to have a lot of Disneyland merch. So
They were selling $10 million a year in park tickets. And that's not at $100 a pop, right? That's when they were 40 or 50. I mean, what was a Disney ticket price in 1997?
97. I'm gonna go with 65.
Any guess, Caleb?
10 million? I'm not sure.
No, a price of a one-day ticket to Magic Kingdom.
Oh, one ticket. Oh, one ticket. I
Right,
thought you meant like on total. I thought.
$10 million would be next year. It'll be $10 million by
Yeah,
2026.
that would be Bob. Yeah. 20
Closer, $42.
or 2. Okay.
And the annual pass was $288.
Yep. That's
Now
wild.
they're getting worse and worse and worse.
One day ticket's $189 now.
Yep.
Saw it when we were walking into Epcot.
Unless, no offense, but if Bob Iger leaves, maybe it'll get better. I don't know.
Jeez.
Okay.
I don't
Sorry.
know.
Sorry.
So I think Disney
Sorry,
itself
Bobby.
went through a little bump right there, right? Like they weren't doing great. I think even though it was the Disney Decade, some of those movies didn't do well in the box office, even though they're classics now, right?
Yeah. Or cult classics,
Right.
if they're
They-
not as known, like Atlantis, for example, or Treasure
Love that
Planet,
movie.
or Dinosaur, whatever.
Atlantis was great.
Well, and a lot of those didn't have merch, right? Emperor's New Groove, stuff like that. You know, they weren't
Well, now they
really. Now they are, yeah. But they really weren't selling a lot of merch at that time doing those, right?
Yeah. I mean, most of the stuff was like, I think I remember, like, I mean, we talked about this topic before, but like Disney Channel had some stuff. I think they sold like Hannah Montana or like, just like things like that to attract like little girls, and for boys it was like action figures. They would sell action figures, I believe. But I remember because I remember hearing from another podcast like merchandise was cool. Like they used to sell snow globes, figurines, all these cool things, and now it's just like generic T-shirts and that are like sometimes if you wash them they would shrink too fast because they're just like they're not the
Right.
best quality. So,
But trying to hit a certain price point for people, right? You know. So around that time, 2002, I think they changed it to a licensing model. You know, take a cut of the pie and let Japanese or the Oriental Land Company run them overseas, right?
and they are doing an absolute fabulous job on merchandise and detail and all that. I mean, just recently today they just released some Disney Store Japan, and they're gonna release soon Disney Store China merchandise on DisneyStore.com. So,
So how do we feel about
Yeah.
Duffy?
oh,
Anyone-
love Duffy,
So you love Duffy, Andrew?
love it.
I'm
Yeah.
out.
I
Really?
am
Yeah.
absolutely neutral.
Okay,
Not a fan, Andrew.
Why do we need him?
Well, he's huge
I
in
mean-
Japan, right?
yeah, he is. I mean, you should go on YouTube and find the storybook of how he started, because I mean we had the Disney Bear, and then that was at the Disney what was it, Disney or Downtown Disney's Once Upon a Toy, which I remember seeing that too. I was like, oh, this is a cute bear, and no one was buying it. I was like, I should have bought it, and I never did. And then it became so popular, international in Tokyo and now everywhere. So
So Duffy was 2002 was his first appearance.
Yep.
We
the
we
Disney Bear.
my kids never got into him. I think in fact, I have a really cute picture. My son would probably kill me for posting of him sleeping at the Polynesian with Pegasus from.
Hercules?
From
Thank you.
Hercules, yeah.
I'm having a tough time talking. It's a good thing I'm trying to do
Yeah,
this
it's
on a
okay.
regular basis.
Is it
Um,
just you're tired or something?
I am. I'm a little tired. It's
Very
been a long
tired.
day. I've been going since early, and I've driven up and down the East Coast, and then it is a long day. But that's all right. That's why we have you
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
Caleb, to make sure to fill those.
So I thought it was just funny just looking at different Disney pricing and stuff throughout the years. So 1971 cost for $3.50.
All right.
If you
Now
adjust for
just-
current inflation, 2024 inflation, it'd be $27.33.
That's
Yes, I've seen those numbers. I just don't want to. I don't want to bring them into my reality. I want to keep.
Yeah.
them-
that's
not
like me with
First
that's
price
like me
hike,
with
50 cents.
oh, no.
And like you were saying, Caleb, World of Disney and Disney Store, two different entities.
Oh, they're
Right.
two different monsters. They're definitely World Disney is I feel like it's special, and I remember just growing up with that. And I mean, it wasn't like Plush Mountain, but you had that TV when you'd walk in from and that's gone now, but there used to be a TV playing like Disney Channel stuff or whatever. And And then you would have these sections. I know you get lost, but again, it was fun getting lost in those little areas, and they had details and stuff. And now it's like, oh, you don't have to get lost anymore. We'll just show you everything is right here, here, everywhere, and it's just bland. And they have some things like little details, but like no one's gonna look at that. They're just there, like, okay, I'm here for the merchandise. I'm leaving. Bye. So
I will
that's
say
a shame.
we did the mobile checkout this time
Yeah,
because of course the line for checkout was ridiculous. That's probably the easiest um, process you could ever go do is you just scan it all, walk up there, give them your QR code, they scan it, and they're like, need a bag. That's it. It's pretty easy.
wow. And
Matthew's
yeah,
joined us from Married to a Disney Addict, and he says Plush Mountain was the best, and that he always wanted to jump into it. And you
Yeah.
know, with our TikTok culture today, I'm sure people
oh yeah, they
it
do.
would be a
Somebody
meme or
would have
something
done
you'd
it.
have to do. Yeah, I like
I
that
will.
Journey into Imagination book. By the way, Matthew, you're check his social media out. I'll tease it a little bit. You have to go find it
Yep, I know
yourself.
him. Yeah, he's on. He just recently did a podcast with one of my friends, Megan and Chris. So it was cool to hear that.
So 2002, Disney takes or sells it to Children's Palace, right?
Jones Pass. Yep.
And same time a Japanese land company or Asian or Oriental land company. And then it looks like that shortly after that, Children's Place, sorry, goes into bankruptcy, and Disney buys them back.
hmm
Yep.
And they bought them back from the land company in Asia as well. And they had the consumer
the Asian,
product
yeah.
division.
Now it's just yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, it's just very bland now. But
So I
hey,
just
there's
went
never gonna be.
into the one in Times Square, and it was very crowded and very noisy, just like a real Disney store. So it was perfect. But they did not have no Plush Mountain. The one thing missing.
Nope.
They had a lot of stuff, and they had some good park stuff. They had a Roosevelt shirt that the Christmas one that I already had. But yeah, no, it's a absolute legit Disney store. We just didn't last long in there. They even had some New York branded merch.
Yep, they do.
But I didn't love it. And the one I did like
The
wasn't in
one
my size.
there's a shirt. I think it was a shirt or long sleeve that was based off the Times Square. Not Times Square. The Fifth Avenue store that used to sell stickers. They would give you stickers, and that was like it was like a Mickey holding his hands up like this kind of. But yeah, that was based off of that. I've heard on an article. It's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah,
I
some
never.
history.
And then, so how many are left now? Do we know?
It's very.
It's a small
Uh,
handful, if I understand.
I saw a video that said 200, but that seems high.
So
That was 7 years ago. There were 200 left worldwide. 40 in Japan. 40 in Japan. We can't and the 70 spread out across the rest of the world. So that's still a lot. Now I know Character Warehouse doesn't count, but is that the new Disney store? Is that what we do now?
I guess. I mean, it plays Disney Parks music. I think it's cool to hear that.
Yeah,
I've heard through videos and stuff. But it looks like an outlet, like the one I used to go to. It had this like lamp thing that had the characters around it, and that was it. That was the only detail they had, and maybe a TV, like a flat screen behind the cash register, but that would be it.
Yeah, I
And
think you're
a
right.
Disney Store logo, that would be it.
Wikipedia says 22. It says areas serve Japan, North America, Europe, China, and the Philippines.
Yeah. So Matthew says that are married to a Disney addict, just so I get the right plug. There's one in Palisades, in New Jersey, only an hour away. Is it nice? Is it just like the old ones? Does it have
And
Plush Mountain?
Matthew's also saying I'm not a huge fan of the Times Square one. It's nice to have a store. somewhere, but it's just don't compared to the '90s mall stores. Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't feel the same.
no.
It does not feel the same. But I mean, it's tough. I mean, how much I don't do a lot of shopping in person anyway. I probably still would go to the Disney store just for the experience. But
Yeah,
I bet I buy 80% of my stuff online.
Yeah, everybody does.
that's what I
Now,
would do too.
and stay tuned, listeners. But when next month when I go down, or yeah, we are going to go to not Lakeland Antique Mall, but the other one.
Popsicle Island.
No, the one way out. One I think I
Oh,
forgot. I think I
yeah, I'm
also
trying to figure it too.
forgot this on the show because it's not a Disney name. But they have a bunch of.
Oh, the Lake,
Nope.
Lake.
It's not
Oh,
that
it's
one.
not.
The vintage.
That's the
Talking about the
that's the
vintage
most popular
place.
one.
Vintage, yeah. But I can't
That's
remember.
weird. That's the only thing I can think of.
Adam the Woo goes there all the time.
Forever
That's
Vintage.
the one that he's talking. Yeah, Forever Vintage.
Forever Vintage.
Um,
And if you don't follow them on
I
social
do,
media, you
yeah.
should. Yeah, because even just looking at some of the stuff they have is a lot of fun.
It's really cool stuff. Like the stuff they bring in, like all the, like, oh, here's a lamp from Polynesian or something, and here's a poster, and they also sell Disney Store figurines,
Fixtures.
which are
They have,
like very
and sometimes
very
they'll have
expensive.
fixtures from the stores in there.
Yeah,
Didn't J.C. Penney have a Disney store at one point?
For a little while in the back corner, I remember my mom had one near her house. We went there one time, but it really, it just
Yeah,
wasn't
I
great.
don't know. Yeah.
it's the
You're right.
so was it the one with the castle, the plastic castle that
Yes.
little kids would go under, and then you have
Yeah.
that little thing where it shows a screen under like a vanity or something. I forget what it was called, like some kind of thing, cover up thing that would go under, and they would have like, oh, here's story time, and it's in front of a screen, like a giant screen. I remember seeing something like that.
Yeah, it's a great store. If you've not been to Forever Vintage, and I haven't been to Lakeland Antique Mall yet, but Forever Vintage it's like walking through a little museum. I mean, it's about 45 minutes, 50 minutes from Magic Kingdom, worth the drive. Because and every time you go, it's going to be something new, right? They're going to have something completely new in there. So
Yeah.
that's a really cool spot, and I definitely recommend checking that out. I don't know. I mean, it's tough when we get this emotionally attached. I mean, look at all the things that have closing down. Like we're talking about Muppets or Rock and Roller Coaster. I posted a picture of the Hat earlier
Yeah, I saw that.
today or yesterday.
That made me a little emotional because I was like,
Well,
I
and
get it.
I love
They didn't
that
want
hat.
to have anything
I like
blocked.
the hat.
They didn't want anything blocked. I have a picture of me and my mom and my brothers in front of the hat. I mean, it was a great
And
thing. I mean, yes,
Isn't there a gift shop on the bottom of the hat?
it was underneath. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think it makes sense. Like, I'm not mad, just to make sure I mention it every single episode, as I am at the Polynesian for removing that waterfall. But I do think that's what was there when we started going, right? When our first trip to Disney Hollywood, that hat was there. And so for us, that's what that icon was and really will always be for us. It's a piece of,
Was that
like,
in like early 2000s?
yeah, we started going, I think, no, it'd be late 2000s, probably 2007 maybe was our first trip.
Whoa.
So
That's
2000
close
is when they
to
put
my second trip. My second trip was in 2006. So we
Well,
could have
so the-
actually.
Well, I mean, I went in 75 and 76.
Mhm.
And then I lived in Florida and didn't go. But yeah, our first family trip, my twins were 1 and they were born in 2000. So maybe 2007. Is that what I said? Yeah.
Yeah, 2007.
2007. But we didn't go to Hollywood that time. So our first trip to Disney Hollywood might not have been for 2 or 3 years after that. And that hat was there. And it was like losing a friend when it disappeared.
And that started that was when they were celebrating the 100 years of magic
Right.
in
And they also had
2001.
2000 they started it and then into 2000, so it's kind of like
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole 15 months they always do something. So I caught it um, in 2002, and they
2002.
were still there. And then was it 2010 they took it down?
No, 2015 they were starting to break it down. There's photos of it getting
Okay, I thought it
broken
was
down.
old.
So it was yeah, it was. I remember that was my last trip. It was 2006, and then in 2012, I think I got to see it. I think again, and then that was it.
I mean, think about it. We're having this discussion about this, which um, may or may not be exciting, but then you think about the Disney store, right? So I'll tell you that when my kids were little, we would go to the mall and let them run around, get out of the house, especially in the wintertime. Really didn't buy anything. We'd go, they always had some kind of playground and the kids would go run wild on that. We would go to the Sakura or whatever it is in the mall, the little Japanese place, and get
Hmm.
that
Yeah,
teriyaki chicken and rice. And we'd all have that for dinner. And then there was a cupcake spot. And then from there, we'd go sit in the Disney store for a while. I mean, again, it was an event going there for us and a big part of my kids' childhood. So losing it, I got to, again, I'm with Matthew. I don't think the Times Square store was great, but it gave me a little tingle to be there, right? Just to see Mickey, and not just that creepy Mickey you can take a picture with, that runs around Times Square, but to see real
yeah.
Mickey,
That's a
down there.
rat.
Yeah, he is a
It's a
rat.
wrap.
Ratch, man.
I, I wanted to do it so bad, but they were so gross. I just couldn't. It was frightening.
Yeah, oh yeah, those guys are just. It's just why? Why do they do that? It's just I
I
don't
guess
get why they.
they're obviously
Chips.
making money
Like,
because they
oh,
keep coming
money!
back.
Because I have a story where it was back in 2014. We were walking to the Disney store in the Times Square, and my brother's friend was approached by a guy who's like, here's a mixtape. Go grab it, grab it. And he's like, okay, grabs it and he gives it back, and it's like it literally was just a piece of cardboard in a CD box. I was like, what is wrong with these people? We're in front of the Disney store of all places.
It's I tell you what, this is a weird tangent, but I'm gonna go. It's why
No,
not?
yeah, go
Um,
for it.
and as a shareholder, I appreciate it, but as a park goer, it bothers me. Some of the cost cutting options they're doing really, I don't love. I don't love that my bag doesn't say Walt Disney World on it anymore. It says Disney Parks. And I
Parks.
and I get it. I understand how much money that must save each year. I mean, it's got to be huge. But I really like the idea of it really being special and unique, and you could only get it there. So if you had that bag, you knew where you were. And I think I could be wrong. I think the only place I see that now is at the deluxe resorts or some of the resorts. They will have
Yeah.
some merchandise that they don't have, or maybe a couple different places. But it seems to be like some shirts or like pajama pants or something is special to these resorts. But if you go to Creations or you go to Hollywood or you go to Main Street, it's all the same.
All the merchandise is the same. They're just like,
And
where
and
we
yet
put it? Oh, we'll put it here. We'll put it there.
that's exactly what I'm saying, Matthew. This is, I don't know why it won't move over, but it won't. There it goes. But he's right. You can take it a step further because I like the idea. I remember one year when we used to buy tickets, we always ended up having a few extras, and there were these cheesy booths outside where you could sell the tickets back if you didn't use them. But I remember using one to go back into Disney Hollywood to get a stuffed animal that my kid wanted to get, and they decided to wait and make sure, and it was nowhere else. It was only inside Hollywood,
Yeah. That's
which
what
I like that. I like that there's some exclusivity, that there's a hunt and a chase to buying it almost, because
yeah,
you
there was
have to
recently
get
a
it here.
shirt. There was recently a shirt. I guess I sent you in the chat one time about it was the old Disney or Disney's MGM logo with, or not, yeah, the Mickey with the clapper, and then it had the Disney's Hollywood Studios logo from 2008 combined. I was like,
That's
why? Like, why this is so that's like the cool like one of those coolest shirts, and they have some stuff recently that's cool too.
Yeah,
With all the Sorcerer Mickey stuff, I'm guessing for the 85th anniversary
I thought that looked
of
cool, and look, and they have some neat pass holder stuff. I like that. I like that. I think that's cool. I like that they actually check for your pass to make sure before you buy it, instead of trusting you. Although, Andrew, I don't. Do you get this? It's weird. Sometimes I show my card. Sometimes on the phone. Sometimes I just say I'm a pass holder. I never know.
Yeah, we had that happen at dinner. The guy, you have annual pass? All right, it was breakfast at Whispering Canyon Sunday. The guy goes, your DVC is number annual pass. Okay, great. I want to reach for my card, and he was already gone. I was like, okay. But then get some people like, I need to see it on your phone, and some people say, I need to see your card. I'm like, well,
Well, the phone, and the reason is because the card could be expired. Like
that's
Yeah.
true.
there's no date on the card. So some are sticklers and make you show your phone, which is fine. I don't mind. I wonder why they can't just have you tap your Magic Band though and have all the information you need on there.
Because it picks it up. Because if you buy something on the mobile app, it gives you your discount on the mobile app.
Although I guess it could be somebody else's. Well, I don't know.
They could log in the same.
I mean,
They're doing the best
I mean,
they can.
also with
Yeah.
like recently we're gonna have the festival or Flower and Darn Festival 30th soon, and they're gonna have merchandise as well. I saw, so that's cool.
Yeah, and I like it. I'm not into pins, and I'm resisting it. I like to look at them. I think they're really
Yeah.
cool. But the ones I have a couple of kind of weird ones that I've gotten along the way that I do have on display, but I don't want to start collecting pins.
There's some really cool pins for
I
the
know.
25th anniversary. They have like like they're wearing like hats and and having a little tiny pin board. It's like a pin it's like a meta thing. It's like pin with pins on it. So I love those. And then they
Yeah.
released like merchandise for that, like the 25th anniversary pin traders thing with the T-shirt and a hat. I was like, oh man, this is so cool. Some cool stuff. You have to pick some stuff up for me when you go on the next trip, because it's like
Yes,
I don't even know
and
if that's gonna be.
Caleb, you asked. I did not go to Animal Kingdom, so I couldn't get what you got for it.
I don't okay them. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. But it's just like
Well, you still have some opportunities. We know New York City, and we know now New Jersey. So and then you can do your own research if you really want to go find a.
There's 20 other ones available to go to.
there's 20.
22 total.
2022. Okay, yeah, that's crazy.
So Rebecca jumps in and saves us from a dull moment. Anyway, late to the convo, but the problem. Resellers makes Disney less inclined to make merch more exclusive. You might have a point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
And here's a weird little pixie story. I loved Orangebird when I was a kid, and my oldest loves Orangebird now. I didn't do it on purpose, but that's what they love. And so we happened to be down there for the release of a Funko, an Orangebird Funko. It was coming out. I'm like, oh, that's great. So we'll go pick one up. And I think as we were heading back from the park, so it's late afternoon for dinner, I didn't realize that there'd been a line since 4:30 in the morning to grab, this. It was like a gold encrusted Orangebird. But I asked the lady
Wow.
anyway, and she said, "How many do you want?" And I was like, "Well, just one." And so she went in the back and brought us one out, which was really cool. You paid $12. And I think on eBay right then they were selling for $170.
Yeah, that's always the thing. That's one thing also that we talk about. It's part of the Disney store related thing, but the resellers are just ridiculous.
That's why they put
I
limits
mean-
on everything now.
Right.
No, but they find a way. They find a way. They find their friends. They find their family,
Sure.
and they try to plus it. And it's ridiculous. I
mean, you do the
despise
best
these
you
people
can.
because they just don't have common sense or anything. They're just like, "Eh, whatever. We're just going to continue to do the same behavior over and over and over again." And
And I
It's
think
sick.
Rebecca, I think you're right. I think it is unconscionable. And if anyone here is listening and you need me to pick something up next month from you in the park, let me know. You know, I'll ship it to you. I wouldn't charge a penny more than what it costs. That being
Sorry
said,
about that rant for a second. Sorry about
right.
for that rant.
I will say, I know there's been some things that I couldn't find. I think there was a Chinese New Year spirit jersey that my kid wanted that I paid a ridiculous amount of money for on eBay.
Yeah, I remember walking. Yeah, spirit jerseys were that was a whole big thing back in like 20, maybe during the pandemic. I'm not sure. It was that the ears and then the Loungefly bags, and they were. I mean, they're now starting to fade away. They're starting to do their own versions. Which I forget the name of it now. It was like more of a. It doesn't have that feeling, like that touch to it in the back or whatever, but still
Matt,
still good.
Matthew, I will absolutely ship you a Dole Whip. You just may not love the way it arrives. But I
Liquid
have-
form.
Yeah,
That's right.
it'll be a little soupy, but
Yeah.
it'll still taste like it.
Well, I'm going to wrap up a little bit. My wife just texted me that we're going to dinner.
Yeah.
You guys can talk amongst yourselves online. Hit the But Mostly Disney Facebook group. But I do. This was a good topic, Caleb. I really I hadn't thought about it, and it really brought back. I wish I could still do slides. And I promise I will learn. Yes, it will. Matthew, we're having a separate conversation over here. Matthew is right. I will leave you with this tip: do not buy the Dole Whip at the grocery store.
It's horrible.
No, it's not
It's
not
so bad.
It's really
Same as clothes.
But it was awesome, and it really was a way to have a little magic outside of the park. When you can't
Yeah.
get there, and I think most people don't go every year, right? Most people might go 2 or 3 times in their lifetime, and to be able to have a little of that magic somewhere else makes me happy. All right, Caleb, where can we find you, buddy?
You can find me at Caleb Joshua Hill on all socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and also Threads. So you can definitely find me as well. So
I haven't done Threads yet. Maybe I should.
yeah, you should. It's fun. It's kind of like Twitter. A lot of people are like, oh, it's more of a nicer Twitter. I'm still on there, but it feels like that a little bit.
And Andrew, we know we can find you here almost every Tuesday night. What else? How's Mouse Gears?
Mouse Gears got some new footage from this past week. Unfortunately, didn't get to do a room tour. We ran out of time, but do have some stuff from the lobby and some stuff from Magic Kingdom to post. Still working on the transportation videos. I'll have those up hopefully soon. But Instagram, Facebook, Andrew Mylan, you'll find me there.
Cool. And I think, like I said, I've hit But Mostly Disney on almost everything. I think if you search that, that's what will come up. We'll be back next Tuesday. New topic. Please hit us up in the chat if there's something you'd like us to talk about or want to talk about. Follow us all and let's share a little magic. That's why we do this.
Topics. Yeah, I have other topics whenever you want to do them.
There we
like
go.
I said in the chat, like there's Disney music or Radio Disney or whatever, and
we do
all
have a
these
buddy of
other
mine
topics.
coming on in March who's going to talk about Disney Health. He's a physical therapist, and he just wrote a book
There we go.
on
Yes. That's good.
on how to do the Disney parks healthy. So he's going to come on and tell us about that because my
cool.
shoulders and back can do it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good night.
See ya. Imagine that. Night.